Good morning, I am Kevin Price. Delighted to be with you. Going to spend some time talking to you about you and your business. Got a lot to talk about, so I think we'll get straight to it with our first guest, Steve McKenzie. And he is with a company called Insight Squared, and that's insightsquared.com. It's a business analytics company out of Boston, and it's we're going to talk a little bit about the role of big data in the business world as of late, and looking forward to that conversation. And also really how to bring a scientific approach to your sales team and sales process. So Steve, welcome to the program.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me.
Start off real quickly with an elevator speech, if you don't mind, telling us a little bit more about the company. Give us that panoramic overview, if you will.
Sure, absolutely. So we're a very high-growth SaaS business, that's software as a service, and we're based in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And the business was built on the thesis, really, that the smaller and medium-sized businesses are being slightly disadvantaged in the marketplace, and that the data analytics tools that exist in the marketplace are really there to serve the big, large enterprise businesses. So the founding team set to build out a service that allows businesses to really look at themselves through the lenses of analytics, and effectively we provide those million-dollar insights for organizations that don't have million-dollar budgets.
Okay. So would you say that you're primarily geared towards small to medium-sized businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was the thesis, again, as I said, of which the business was built. And organically, you naturally start capturing larger organizations as you begin your journey. But our value proposition does work really, really well for those smaller and medium organizations. Let me qualify that. I talk about organizations with, say, less than 1,000 employees in their company.
Very good. What kind of verticals do you typically work in?
So right now we are doing really, really well in companies that are similar to ourselves, and that is high-growth tech companies, those organizations that have potentially taken on some funding to grow at rates in excess of 100% annually. So they really need to look at tools that can help them achieve those levels of growth. So the technology sector is a space in which we do really, really well. And then we also have a vertical, the staffing vertical. So we have a technology that aligns really well to those organizations that are trying to do better with growing their staffing businesses, particularly in the applicant tracking world.
Yeah, very interesting. What are our businesses at when they come to you in terms of the way they handle data for sales?
It's very interesting. I think that what we're seeing is the old boys club of doing sales deals on the golf club and restaurants is going away very fast, and that the world of inside sales is gaining a lot of momentum. Inside sales versus outside sales is effectively telesales for people who don't know what that means, because your efficiencies of doing deals over the phone are that much better, because it doesn't mean you have to travel long distances and have long meetings. So the buyer has become a much more sophisticated animal in this world, such that they have access to things like Google, which means they can do research very easily and quickly. So the inside sales model is one whereby you have to be very educated, you have to add value to your prospective customers out there in a very short period. They say, modern theory says, that about 60% of the buying cycle is completed by the time you talk to an individual, which talks to how much more informed the buyers are these days. So when we get involved, often what happens is the buyers have already done a large amount of research. They've gone online, they've gone into social media, they've got social proof, they've looked at case studies, and then they've made a decision to engage with us to really evaluate the technology and then potentially buy.
Interesting. It's interesting because when you think about it, it wasn't that long ago, just a couple of decades ago, and maybe you can go back as far as, John Nesbitt's book, Megatrends, where we talked about how we were really leaving an industrial age, which he wrote that in the 1980s, to a truly technological and information age. Who would know how accurate he would be, and to what extent he would be. But the reality is that there was a time where spending time on the golf course made a lot of sense economically. But when you look at what we can leverage with technology, the opportunity cost for doing that is huge now, don't you think?
Absolutely. And we're seeing the large traditional, and to be fair, I'm 43, right? So I was one of those guys in the early stage of my sales career. So I know what it's like, and the world has changed. And we're seeing increasingly, certainly some of the big box technology companies out there as well, now investing very aggressively in building out inside sales teams, because no longer is it just the captain of the football team or the lacrosse team that is going to make a good sales guy. The salespeople in the modern world have to be very educated. They have to understand the solutions, the technologies, the services that they are selling and representing. And most importantly, they really have to understand the customer's pain points, because they have to be more of a consultant. It sounds like a cliche, but it's true. They have to be more consultative in their approach and really providing value. The old days salespeople used to be a walking catalog, right? That was their job. They would walk around and showing people what they had to offer, because the buyers did not know what existed, because they didn't have access to lots of information through the internet and the like. Whereas these days, with so much information being available, it's all about how you differentiate yourself from the competitors.
Yeah, no question about it. No question about it. So I can see, obviously, the brilliance to what you do from a strategic perspective, but I can also see a lot of resistance just because it does challenge old paradigms. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's interesting, I talk about title inflation. We have a proliferation of funds out there in the marketplace, certainly in the space that we're seeing a lot of traction in these high-growth tech companies. The venture capital money is washing around in the marketplace. There's lots and lots of startups. There is a massive amount of competition for talent. There is a huge amount of people entering the job market that are relatively inexperienced and having to learn their trade quickly. What that means is you're also then accelerating people through the leadership ladders, steps on the ladder as well. So we're seeing a lot of guys carrying a VP of sales title, for example, who's only really had 3 to 4 to 5 years maybe selling experience with very little leadership experience. And so they're looking for technologies and tools that can help enable them to do their job better, and providing go-to-market analytics like what we do really helps them. So I spend a lot of my time when my reps get me on the phone to talk to one of the prospective customers, is giving the guy a little bit of coaching as to how to do their job. So much so that I actually had one of our customers, I met him at an event. He said, "Don't you want to come and work for me and run sales?" And I said, you don't actually need me, you just need our technology, because it kind of takes the place of a lot of traditional management type stuff.
Very good. Very interesting conversation. Sadly, we are out of time. Final thoughts before I let you go, and also make sure you give your website, too.
Absolutely. So it's very simply www.insightsquared.com, and I hope people can understand me with my accent.
We certainly did. That is a very unique Boston accent you've got there.
Absolutely.
So, by the way, where are you from originally?
I'm from Cape Town, South Africa.
There you go. Yeah, I didn't think it was quite British, and I didn't think it was Australian, but I can get in trouble with the Australians and the South Africans, so I left you to describe it yourself. As you know. Well, listen, Steve, I appreciate your time.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kevin. Thanks for the opportunity.
Steve McKenzie, Vice President of Sales at the Boston-based company InsightSquared.com. When we come back, much more for you. Do want to remind you, best content here does show up over there at USAReview.com. You're listening to The Price of Business.